the Tampa Bay Lightning. 4th in the Atlantic last year, a wild card team. They deserved better than to be a first-round exit team. They were 5th in goals for, 10th in goals against, had the best power play in the league, and the 5th best penalty kill. They were a good, well-rounded team that went through some turmoil in the offseason. That's going to be the meat of this conversation. But I think the Lightning were better last year than what they ended up getting, which was playing the Panthers in the first round and obviously losing.
No.
No?
I don't think so. I think that was a team that largely masked how top heavy it was. Like Kucherov was fucking unreal last year. And I think based off the numbers and the rankings that you just recited, a lot of that is Nikita Kucherov's doing. And Steven Stamkos had a great year last year as well, too. But I think a lot of those issues are going to carry into this year. And this is essentially, I don't want to say a one-line team, but it might be like a one-line team. In fairness, that one line might be the best in the entire National Hockey League with Jake Guentzel, Braden Point, and Nikita Kucherov.
I was going to say, the story of this team is revamped. And a lot of our reactions were, why the fuck did you have this offseason, you weird Tampa Bay Lightning? Why did you do this? They, after years of contentious negotiations on multiple contracts with Steven Stamkos, that finally ends. He goes to the Predators, who, by the way, I'm placing some sort of heart bet on Steven Stamkos. I don't know if he's going to win the heart, but I think that he is going to have just the biggest chip on his shoulder this season. And they bring in Jake Guentzel to replace him, and it leaves them with an insane first line of Braden Point centering Jake Guentzel and Nikita Kucherov. That's so good, but they're going to need to maybe spread out the wealth a little bit. They get Cam Atkinson after he gets bought out, and you're like, he's old, and is he good? Are you going to have to play him as like a second or third line right wing? If so, oh my God, I don't feel amazing about that. Their defense is also drastically different because in my least favorite move for anybody to do in the entire NHL in the offseason, why did the Lightning trade Mikhail Sergachev to Utah? I hated that move. I love Sergachev. They must think that he's just never going to be healthy again.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't. When I
and
look
bring
at
in Ryan McDonough.
Yeah, which I look at their defense and like Victor Hedman, he's great. He's old. Like how many more great years, elite years, does he have left in him?
33 years old.
And like, who else do they have on the back end now? Like Sergachev was supposed to be the next guy for them on the back end. Who is the next guy moving on from Hedman? Hey, thanks for watching the channel.
We appreciate everybody who checks out our stuff, but 80% of our viewers are not actually subscribed to this page, so if you could smash that subscribe button, it would go a very long way for us.
The more subscriptions we have, the more visibility we get from YouTube, which allows us to do more.
So press that button. Thank you.
And now you're also talking about Anthony Cirelli, who I really like Anthony Cirelli as a player. Really, really like him.
Second line center?
Not as my second line center. Like, maybe he takes that next step and becomes a second line center that I feel good about. But I felt good about Anthony Cirelli being your third line center. Then you have like a wealth down the middle. Him being your second line center, I just don't know if he's got the offensive upside to warrant it.
As of this recording, our friends at Daily Faceoff project both Anthony Cirelli and Cam Atkinson being on the Lightning second line, which looks horrible.
Looks horrible.
Oh wait, it looks kind of horrible.
Yeah.
Looks a little horrible.
I want to leave room for Anthony Cirelli being good and not being better than expected.
And I don't like when this happens when players get overpaid or any sort of thing. I don't like when a player's situation makes fans assume that player thinks they're better than they are, when it's like, no, they were just, don't yell at them for being a bad second line center if they're not a second line center,
right,
because they're still a really good hockey player. You mentioned the age of Victor Hedman, which is 33 years old. After losing Steven Stamkos, do we do a window check with these guys? Kucherov is 31, Hedman is 33, Vasilevsky is 30. Very obviously, Nikita Kucherov is not washed or even close to it because he was the most insane player in the NHL last year. But Do we ask questions about their window? Because this isn't like you've got a rookie Braden Point here. Like he's a real vet now.
So what I look at with a I'll also change it from a window to a sliding door. And the way that I look at the Tampa Bay Lightning this year is that they're going to sprint towards that door, and depending on how clean it is and how much Windex has been used, they're either going to run straight into the house, which the house is the playoffs. They're going to run straight into the house unfazed, or they are going to unexpectedly hit glass, and maybe they sneak in banged up, or maybe they end up still on the outside and bloodied.
But what confuses me about them is
they couldn't miss the playoffs, is what I'm saying.
They're so top heavy roster wise, but the other side of that coin is, I know that we're talking about them a little pessimistically, so I'd just like to present a slight devil's advocate here. Do we sleep on them by not they have awesome bones.
Yeah, well,
they have a Vezina goaltender, a Norris defenseman, and
one of the best lines in the league.
A Hart, right? So we'll say one of the best lines in the league that has a Hart candidate. We'll say
that's why I'm saying, like, I think that they're worse in terms of being a serious contender. They could put a lot of points in the standings. They could put a lot of points, a lot of goals on the board. They probably will. And you're right in that they have the bones of being a good team. But this year, as opposed to last year, they are more susceptible. If one thing goes wrong, they're fucked.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like Braden Point injury, bye.
Fucked. Andrei Vasilevsky, if he's not good, which he really wasn't that good last year. If he's not good again, they very well could miss the playoffs.
We all silly like the mayor.